Hundreds of drivers with dozens of teams compete in multiple series with one ultimate goal: to race in the Indianapolis 500. Yet each year, only 33 dreams come true. These are the stories that make up the 33 Dreams of Indy. Welcome back to 33 Dreams of Indy. I'm your host, Robert Earl, and today I'm joined by Carter Pease. Carter, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Robert. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, Carter finished second in the Lucas Oil School of Racing Shootout. So tell me about that experience and how excited you were, and were you surprised at where you placed in that?
The experience was great. It was definitely something that I've really wanted to do for some time now, but I just really didn't have the time between school and sports, especially because I was really big into high school sports. That was always the priority with my parents. Racing was always kind of that second priority. My dad probably would have wanted it a different way. He's a big racing guy. He started racing back in the day and got me into it. But yeah, going into that, it was just a lot of fun. We first did the beginners class at Autobahn Country Club in, I believe it was July. And then that was after I learned about the shootout, and I was talking with my dad about it. I said, I want to try the shootout come December time, see if we can get a scholarship to race next year in the championship series. And he said, sure, just come up with the money to do it, and then we can do that. Yeah. And so then we did that.
Cake.
Yeah, we did that. And then I managed to get enough money actually for a second class at Sebring, the November class for the advanced session, just to get more experience in the car. And then we made our way down to Sebring for the scholarship shootout. And my dad covered the hotels and the flights and stuff like that. He just wanted me to pay for the shootout itself, because that was probably the biggest expense by far. So yeah, it was a great experience. And coming in second, it was going into it, I really wanted to win. I always tell myself, you have to keep yourself a positive mindset. Like, the positive thoughts go to the positive results. And I really wanted to win, but I'm really happy with second, because I also looked at it with the way where I came with nothing. So if I leave with nothing, I leave with what I came with, but I ended up leaving with more. So I'm really happy about it.
Great approach. So we'll talk about, and if you don't mind, breaking down some of those pieces that you talked about, because there's sometimes the impression of, oh, you get to go racing, and they don't know all of the details behind it. I guess sometimes what I found is I've got two audiences here. There are the hardcore racers that know what it takes and know what the steps are, but yet you're exposing a little bit of just stopping and thinking about flight, hotel, meals, all of that information, and you're not always being able to plan meals. It's grabbing on the go, so it's always a little bit more expensive from that process. And now, so we're going to look backwards a little bit, but looking forward, because you finished second, what did that earn you in the upcoming season?
In the upcoming season, that earned me 3 races out of the 6. Well, actually, there's 3 races per weekend, but 3 weekends out of the 6 there. So then when it comes to racing that season next year, I have half of those already paid off, and then I have to come up with the money myself for the other half. Okay. But I'm off to a great start already with coming that. So
clarify, that's your car is covered, your seat time is covered, your time in it. You still have to come up with the car will be sitting there waiting for you, but you have to somehow be able to get to all of the different locations. And if I remember correctly, we're talking about it's out at Laguna Seca, and it's at up in New Jersey and Pittsburgh. It's all across the country, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So it doesn't cover the hotels, the flights, and things like that. The first race actually is going to be in Homestead. Laguna Seca is a non-points race, so we're probably going to have to skip that one, unfortunately, just to save costs. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't cover hotels, meals, flights, things like that. And just time off work even, because I have a full-time job. I'm going to be missing Thursday and Friday just so I can travel. So it doesn't cover those expenses either. And actually, it doesn't even cover the expenses if I crash the car. If I crash the car, that's another, I think it's $5,000 that comes out of my pocket just to cover those crash expenses.
So a little bit of pressure that goes into it. So let's go back then. Where does this switch go in that you're talking about high school sports and racing, and there's always a pole? Was this something that your dad had raced? Where did the bug come for racing?
The bug definitely came from my dad. He's always been a fan of NASCAR, IndyCar, even Formula One, mainly Formula One though. When it came to having me race, he actually tried to have me race at 8 years old in a kid kart, but that didn't work out. Unfortunately, my shoelace got caught in the throttle, and it kept the throttle pinned around for a lap in my driveway, and that scared the crap out of me. So I called it quits then. And then at about 13 years old, he got a kart for free. It was like a 1992 kart. It was really old. It was older than me actually, and he said, "Hey, do you want to try it again?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, let's go for it." And it was going to be just a hobby for a while, but then like as we started accumulating results, we started doing really well at the regional level and even the national level with manufacturers cup there. And it was just something that we were like, hey, we could try to do something with this. But unfortunately, again, with the high school sports, like my parents were always looking at your opportunity is best when you go to college. You're going to go to college. Like my mom especially was pushing me to go to college instead of racing because that has a brighter future with more chances of good employment. So it had to be put on the back burner, unfortunately, especially with the sports, because I was very good at soccer, and they were hoping that would get me possibly a scholarship or something like that. And yeah, so it was always put on the back burner until I graduated from college, when I said, hey, let's go at it full board, try to make the move from karts to cars, and then eventually make that step up and see what we can do with it.
So the older I get, the wiser my mother gets. So I have to say that, and it bears out all the time.
Oh yeah.
So making that jump from carts to cars and being able to go with it, I'm sure then, because you're a college graduate now, you laid out what was in front of you. Talk about the benefits of that Lucas Oil School and the Shootout and the path that they've laid out for you. Why that versus going a different direction?
I think that's the better direction because they provide so much education on and off the track. They can teach you how to drive the car. Of course, that's why you're going there. But they also teach the business aspect and marketing yourself as a driver. Because I think that's one thing when you're a kid dreaming about racing in the Indy 500, you don't think about all the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to racing a car and getting even to the track. Like you don't think about all the costs, trying to attract sponsors, trying to have people support you and host events. Because like when you look at Team Penske, for example, they would have a whole hospitality area for the people that are sponsoring their car. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that you don't really think about as a kid. And like going through the Shootout, they teach you about most of that stuff. There's still other things that you have yet to learn, but they just really do a good job at getting your feet wet and really just showing you what it takes to be a racing driver on and off track.
I see a lot of mistakes that folks are making on social media. I know, but that was one of the aspects of the day's lessons with the business. Pip a man, and it'll be interesting to see what her and Emily Linscott come out with here in the next week or two as to what they're doing. She finished in the top 5 as well. There was the business aspect of it. There was the sim portion of it. And we're not just talking about iRacing sim. It was actually the simulation that they're working with. And then after every one of the sessions, the instructors were at different turns around the course, and there was feedback that they gave you.
Yep.
My feedback to you was I couldn't tell who was in each car. So when you went out to a car, unless your mom or dad had told me that you were in the banana car or the green car or the red car, I did not know who was in each car.
Yes.
Yet, I was there for the majority of the time. I was going back and forth between the Indy Lights testing. I had a list of top 7.
Yes.
And I picked 4 out of the top 5 were in my top 7.
Okay.
To go through it because of the way, and I'm sharing this for other up and coming drivers, the way that they took notes, the way that they carried themselves. If they had a frustrating, because there was a foggy morning session, there was a rain session, there was a 87 degree session, all thrown into 4 different sessions. So you had a lot thrown at you, and there were some folks that got frustrated from it, etc. So really the way that they carried themselves and went through it was something. That instruction that you got was really invaluable that went through it. So you've
Yeah.
got a half season ahead of you. I always like to give an opportunity for you to give shout outs to those that have been supporting you, any sponsors that have stepped up, and then I'll have a follow-up question to that. But go ahead and give some shout outs there.
I would like to give a shout out to my family. They've been with me since day one. I don't have any sponsors to shout out yet, unfortunately, because we're still looking to fund the next half of the season. So far, I'm really just using my job, my full-time job, just to fund that. I still live with my parents since I just graduated from college, and I DJ on the side, just trying to get that extra money. And so, yeah, basically my family, my mom and my dad for always being there. My sister as well. She helps me with my social media stuff by proofreading a lot and just making sure that I'm on top of it and just keeping on, she keeps pushing me to post and keep my community engaged on my racing page, Carter Pease Racing, by the way, cheap plug.
There you go.
And yeah, also my friends that show up to my karting races, I hope that they can show up to the Autobahn race for Lucas Oil, because that's the closest one to my house. So yeah, just those are the people that have been with me, and I hope they can stay with me too.
So we need the Carter clan to be out there to be able to go through it.
Oh yeah, full force.
Now, I'm doing this as much for other Carters as I am for you, so bear with me for just a second. I'm going to help you and give the shout out that this would not be possible without Lucas Oil. The opportunity that Lucas Oil is giving by sponsoring the racing school, by supplementing that, and then being integral into auto racing. And then the event was also put on and supported by Cooper Tire, the official tire of the Road to Indy series, to be able to go through it. That may change. I'll share a little background with you. I've been in 5 different weekends. I've been at events that have been with Cooper Tire, Michelin, Hankook, Firestone. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
all of them.
The hat dance. Whichever weekend it may be, they are the best tire in the world because they're helping to support and pay the bills. So that's something that I want to make sure that we give a shout out to them. Also, this is our first episode while I'm bringing this up. This episode is actually sponsored and it's brought to you by Symmetric Driver Performance Labs. They're North America's premier mobile driver coaching and simulator lab. If you're at a Road to Indy event, check them out in the upcoming season because they are an official partner of the Road to Indy series presented by Cooper Tires. So they were at the Roar before the 24 at Daytona. You can actually go into their trailer, sit down, and they actually have the cars spec'd for the USF 2000, the Indy Pro 2000, the Indy Lights. So Carter, if you're around, great to check that out. They'll also be at the preseason testing for the Road to Indy. So
awesome.
Great part in that. So what do you do to prepare yourself? What has been your regimen? Because you know that you've got 3 race weekends. You know that you can't make mistakes when it comes to taking care of the car, but yet you want to be fast. What are you doing to prepare yourself mentally, but also physically from that standpoint?
Right now, it's just a lot of time on the simulator with iRacing. iRacing has the Skip Barber car, which is similar, but not always the same as the Lucas Oil car. So I have that. And right now, I'm actually trying to cut weight. When I was at the shootout, I was at 160 pounds, and that's definitely too much if you want to be a racing driver. So now I'm trying to diet and cut back on the calories and trying to work out more to cut weight. And actually, just this morning, I weighed 148, so I'm on the way to the goal to try to get to at least 140, especially when you're going against some smaller guys that weigh like 80, 90 pounds. These guys that are just smaller than me. So that's just something I'm trying to minimize their advantage at all. And yeah, I'm just trying to also just focus on my mindset, just making sure that when I walk in there, I just know that I'm going to be competitive and I will always be giving it my all. So it's just mainly iRacing, dieting, and just making sure that I'm prepared when I come into Homestead.
Okay. So why would a company want to support you in your racing endeavors?
That's a really good question. I think a company would want to support me because I sometimes I really like being modest, but I can't be modest when I'm marketing myself. So I would like to say that a company would like to sponsor me because one, I would have a good image for them. I'm clean shaven. I would say I'm good looking. My mom tells me that anyway. She has to though. And but also I know social media well, so I can help them market when it comes to digital marketing, especially with how the internet is these days, with just trying to stay on top of that, because as you probably know, digital with podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, social media, that's where marketing is at now. And I also work for a marketing company, or I work on a marketing team for the real estate company that I work for. So I have a lot of experience with marketing. So I would definitely provide a lot of marketing expertise, and also just getting a company to the racetrack to have business to business conversations with the other sponsors to a racetrack. I could also get them those connections as well. So that's one thing I think I would be able to bring to the table for those companies.
From a practical standpoint as well, that we interview on here 15, 16, 17 year olds. You're sticking with it. You're not giving up on your dream. Being 23, you took care of that schooling and be able to go through it, so that's kudos to you. Also, I love Kent Vaccaro, who drives an F3, reached out to me and took the initiative to do that, and Carter did the same thing. So good on you for doing that.
Yeah,
and you earned that right with how you finished in the race. So I want you to dream with me for a little bit.
All right, I like dreaming.
What would it be like to start in the Indy 500?
Oh, man, that is the ultimate goal right there, just to start in the Indy 500 with 32 guys behind me, just taking them to the green flag. Yeah, it would definitely be an adrenaline rush for sure. It'd be the opportunity of a lifetime. Hopefully, it would be for a team like Penske or Andretti, and just leading them into turn one on a nice, I would say, 77-degree day. And I don't want it to be too cold. Don't want to accidentally be like Roberto Guerrero, accidentally spinning out when it was a super cold day there. So that would be the thing I would want to look forward to, and just lead them all into turn one. Hopefully, I wouldn't have to look back. So that would be the best opportunity.
Really, really would be something. You mentioned the Andrettis. We are filming this tonight. We just heard of the passing of John Andretti. And I had the pleasure of seeing John do the first half of the double, and driving one of the prettiest Indy cars that I've ever seen, with the Petty Blue and the distinctive number 43, and having those two families come together, and also seeing the King, Richard Petty, come to the track. So blessings out to the Andretti family, the racing community, for that. Go ahead and get checked for Andretti. And then his support that he's done for Riley's Children's Hospital has been something else. So we want to make sure that we didn't, Carter and I talked about this, that we didn't end the episode without making sure that we gave a shout out to their family, and our thoughts and prayers from that standpoint. And I'm sure the Andretti family will be racing hard to honor his memory in the upcoming season. So Carter, fantastic to catch up with you after the shootout, to be able to go in that. Best to you. Keep the promotion going. Best to you on getting those 3 other weekends. If you're a business that wants to connect with others, doesn't necessarily have to be at the racing, reach out to Carter. He'd love to support. And even I believe I saw that you also have a GoFundMe.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That. Okay, so look it up, Carter Pease, Pease, and look that up. I always like to give the good folks opportunity to get there, especially when they're chasing their dreams. It doesn't always happen for everyone, but Carter's not giving up on that. So good
not
on
yet.
You. Yeah, fantastic. So until next time, I would love for you to leave a comment if you see this on any of the different networks. Also, from a technical standpoint, we are on YouTube. We're also on all of the major players. So whether it be your preference is iTunes, Apple, also we are on the iHeartRadio podcast to be on there. And I see that our rankings are climbing. So thanks to all of you for doing that. Please subscribe. And as racing season comes up, share it with somebody else, because you're going to be on a lot of airplanes, etc. You'll need something to listen to. And so Carter, best to you. Until next time, keep dreaming.
Yep. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this video from 33 Dreams of Indy. it would mean the world to me if you would click subscribe so that you could be notified of any new videos that come along.